Let me tell you a bit about Dick. I dare say most of you know him already, but Dick's a retired scientist, and back in the day he was studying and lecturing on the behaviour of methane and water and water vapour and carbon dioxide, and I'm guessing that you therefore knew about global warming before it had a name.
Probably,
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, age 70, Dick grew up to be a climate activist. He's marched, he's demonstrated, he's set up various groups, and now he's one of the driving forces behind HACC, which has brought us all together today. So, Dick's been putting his money where his mouth is. He's working towards having a carbon zero home. He's installed solar hot water and electricity and a heat pump. And he reckons we can do it too, and he's going to tell us how.
Okay, well, I haven't started yet. Now look, first of all, thank you very much for coming. Like all of these things, we never know whether it's going to be empty, full, or somewhere in between. And lovely to see you, just about the right numbers. I'm going to start by asking two questions, not one after the other, but I just want a show of hands so that I can sort of pitch the talk in the right sort of direction. The first one is just to ask, are you in about the starting point of this long trail of getting a really good house? More or less starting point there. And how many people have something fancy on their roof, for example? No? Okay, we'll come to that. Okay, so, and basically you're wanting to find out more, not quite sure what to do next. Okay, we'll take it from there. Sorry about this rattle. Let's take the glasses off. I'm going to take it in 5 stages. I'm sure you'll learn a lot of one sort or another. There's a sheet there. Did you pick one up as you came in? I hope you did. That will help. The talk is sort of roughly based on it. So we're going to do 5 things. The first thing will be look at the home objectively. Now the home is a place where we flop out. We say, come at the end of the day, make some tea, have a G&T, whatever it takes, and you know it from the inside. Now we're going to look at it from the outside just to see what goes in, what goes out. And then, of course, the question of insulation. Show of hands, how many people reckon their house is quite well insulated? Quite well insulated. Again, some not. Okay, well, there are big changes afoot for you, I'm sure. Okay, the next one is, where do you get your electricity from? Now, you may think, I'll just go for a green tariff. Well, stay tuned. It's not as simple as that. The next thing, be your own, live in your own power station. Wow! Solar. It's everywhere. I mean, look at the stall down below, and you'll see one that's pumping water, another one that's about this size and good for 5 watts of whatever. So these are familiar, but workhorses that go on and on and on. Ours went up in 2008 with almost no diminution in power. Come to that later. And finally, the big one, bin the boiler. Well, yeah, it's possible. And the government love you to do it. Okay? Now, it doesn't really matter where you live, although I must admit being in a flat makes it a little bit harder because you haven't got quite the control over what is going in and out. So how many people are flat dwellers? Okay, but you've got a sort of an outside not far away? Yeah. So many people with, if you're lucky, you have some sort of place to put your car, for example, and charge it up, So simple question. This is the objective bit. What goes in and what comes out? Here's a little house. Rather nice, sort of out on the prairie kind of house. But it's got all the basics. It's got a blue thing. What do you think goes through there? water, obviously. And a yellow thing, that comes gas. And there's an attempt to provide power, but the electrician was an apprentice. He didn't get it quite wired up yet, but that serves to show you, doesn't it? But that's not all. I'm going to teach you a new word. It is embedded. Embedded. What about that stuff down there? Where's the little pointer? There's supposed to be a pointer here somewhere. There, do you see that basket of goodies? We don't know where those food items have come from, do we? It could have come from your allotment, top marks. It could have come from Peru. It could have come from the, you don't know. And those air miles have, or rather give, this bit of food here, embedded energy and usually carbon. And as for this chap here, that comes from probably China. It's obviously a box from, I don't know. So those things have to be looked at as well, but not here. I'm not going to talk about those. There are people talking about where your food comes from and where you shop, etc. I'm just going to move on. The big question, what about keeping warm and cutting energy use and probably reducing your bills as well? Sorry, that was going too fast. Let's go back a bit. This one here, bills might well go down, and at the same time, you have the good side, the good feeling inside that I'm doing the right thing by the planet. Okay. Now then, let's talk about something that I'm not going to waste much time on this because it's actually pretty obvious, but draft proofing, sometimes people overlook it. That's the ideal. You've got a nice well-wrapped house and and you get money flowing out of it because that's all the savings. So that's sort of a useful image to hold. Wrap up your house. But first, we're going to look at drafts. Now, you may have, this is standard John Lewis stuff, I think. You can actually stop up the draft. If you feel a cold breeze coming under your door, you know for sure there's warm air going out somewhere else, don't you? Yeah, so look out for that. And DIY works very well. That's a guy putting a bit of squirt into his gaps, caulking, I think they call it, with an L. Or you could do this. This goes for doors. Doors can be sealed very nicely if you've got a big gap. I can actually point. We've got a gap here, and this foamy stuff is sticky there and like sort of shiny on that side. So the door just squeezes it closed, and you've got a lovely seal, no drafts anymore. Right, let's go back to our little house. There are one or two other aspects of it that we haven't covered. Oh boy, the heat's going out from the roof, the window, the walls, and this particular one from underneath the house as well. So there's a lot to do. So we can fix all of those and bear in mind that each of those items will help. If you talk to Maura on the stall just down the road, she's got a big sack of stuff, and they're little plastic balls, and they've been pouring them between the floorboards. Very neat. All you do, lift a floorboard, pour it in, bang down, done. Lots of ways of helping. First, fix the leaks. And the ultimate, I don't know if you've come across this name, passive house. It's a German wheeze that simply says you wrap it up so darn well and you have no leaks at all, and even the air is very controlled. So you have next to nothing in the way of losses. So people, cooking, body heat, solar gain, that's all you need. And the answer there is next to no heating bills at all. Well, that's pretty ultimate. There is one going up North Road, if you know it, just after the turning left, forget what the road is called now, just on the corner there, you'll see building works going on. That is going to be a passive house. So let's talk insulation briefly. Serious insulation looks like that. That is a foot deep. You can't even see the joists, are they called? I think so. And there's one little caveat here. Don't cover it up with heavy stuff. Because what's liable to happen is clobber. If clobber gets there, you think, oh, this is some rubbish stuff. Let's put it up in the loft. You've all done it. We've all done it, haven't we? It all goes up to the loft. And like as not, squashes that poor insulation flat. So watch out for that. No clobber. Squashed insulation can't insulate. Now, this is a third point which will come as news to some of you. Oh, that's not news. You don't like that. That's dirty old coal-fired, probably, power station. We want our electricity to come from a good, clean place like this. Yeah, lovely. Oh, yeah. Did you know that in China, up to 40% of their electricity comes from these things? They are so into solar, you wouldn't believe. So no nasty words about China. They are doing a lot to help. They are phasing out, they've certainly stopped funding for overseas coal-fired power stations, and they're pulling back as quickly as they can with 1.3 billion people to keep happy and employed and everything else. It's a big deal, but they're working on it. If you look at those wires, do you remember those wires coming in? All those electrons coming through, that's called electricity, by the way. The electricity is electrons with ambition. They're pushing, right? But we don't know where those electrons are coming from. And now this is a hint and a tip, which I hope you'll note. The help comes from U-Switch. They're one of these online websites that helps to guide you as to where your electricity really comes from. And they've done a number of checks. They've actually got themselves a gold standard. It says 100% of electricity bought from renewable generators and some contribution towards promoting renewable energy. Now, there are two companies. You'll be a little bit surprised. One tariff from British Gas. Bully for them, I say. Their new Green Future May 2023 version 2 tariff has got the gold standard. And needless to say, all the others don't make it. But here's the news. Ever heard of Good Energy? Every tariff you can get from them has gold standard. So if you go home with two words, I won't mind if those two words are good energy. Look them up. You can be sure that what they sell is green energy, green electricity. Okay, that's the third thing. Fourth thing, just a little comment on what the others do. They buy and sell bits of paper, which may or may not do something helpful. Maybe a little promise to plant trees in the Gambia sometime. Maybe. Good energy is the one. Quickly on. We're getting on to number 4 now. Live your dream. Live in your own power station. It's a lovely feeling, I tell you. These are on our own roof, and there's a clever thing down underneath called an inverter. I don't have time to talk about that. And how did it turn out? We have our solar panels since 2008. Virtually 13 years later, there's no change in the output they give. Really, really good. And it would cost you about 5,000. Okay, big money, but worth it because, as I said, it goes on and on and on and on, pushing out the electricity. Broadly speaking, it'll generate half of your electricity for you. So your bill goes down by half. And in our case, our surplus goes to good energy. So that's another little plug, but let's not. Now I'm going to mention one little side track. I don't know whether you've seen it, you probably haven't. It's got a little solar panel on the back. Can you see the solar panel? And on the front, there's a red button. Oh boy, oh look at that. That's not bad. This is a battery storage system for solar power. Very small. But if you've ever heard of solar aid, if you've not heard it before, you've heard it now. Solar aid. Actually, this is somebody in Africa able to do his homework, and the alternative would be a dirty old kerosene lamp. Okay, I'll turn that off. So that's a little sidetrack. But batteries and solar generation do go together. You've heard of heat pumps, I expect. You've got one in your kitchen already, and you probably even 2 or 3, I don't know. But every fridge is a heat pump. What does it do? It takes the heat out from inside and puts it warmth out. You've got those little tubes, haven't you, at the back of the fridge? That's a heat pump. Now you get a big one, and it's actually doing a lot of good. 1 kilowatt of electricity gives you 3, I'll repeat that, 3 kilowatts of heat. So you've got a multiplier. So pumping is actually a lot better than just using it for a bar fire or a fan fire or anything like that. Use it for a heat pump, and then it's the real thing. Okay, now, that's a little diagram. I'm not going to spend any time about that, but the heat pump makes the outside cold and your house warm. And then the 3 times coefficient, like a fridge working backwards. So how about getting rid of? This is a good option, believe me. As long as you've got a house that's well insulated, this is the last of the line, really. Do the insulation before you think of this. The gas heater you've got, you know, don't you? It makes a lot of carbon dioxide. They're a good answer. They're quite pricey. And the good news is that the government will love you for getting one of these. Quick figures. We paid £12,000, ouch, having our heat pump installed. Oh God, no, please. Wait. If we were doing that today, which is you're thinking of, straight away the government gives you 5,000. That knocks it down a bit. And then over 7 years, they pay you a little chunk of money every quarter. Roughly, well, I'll just say it adds up to 9,000 out of the 12 that we've spent. So, repeat, the government loves you for putting in heat pumps if your house is well insulated, if it's ready to go on this stage of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I've given you. They are magical things. I love them. Okay. I think I'll stop there. Just a picture. That's what ours looked like. Quite big, sits outside, and enough said. Sits there, blows cold air, and there we are. Okay.